Hi, my lovely friends. Hope you guys are fans of the immensely popular book series, Game of Thrones, because today we're going to learn a little bit about the author of Game of Thrones, George R. Martin, and learn some vocabulary in the meantime.
I was raised, born in New Jersey. I was raised Catholic, but I was never really a true believer.
He says he was never a true believer. The first word of the day is nominally. So he was officially a Christian, but he didn't practice it. He didn't believe in the doctrine, that is, the teachings of Christianity. Nominally. That's how we pronounce this adverb.
Me neither.
I stopped going to church when I was in college. We have to adopt these laws because, an invisible guy who lives in the sky said so. I don't, I don't get it.
He is incredulous, just a great adjective for you to learn. When you say I'm incredulous, it means I find something very hard to believe. It is astounding to me that people believe in an invisible guy up in the sky.
Me neither.
It just seems to me, how can any intelligent person believe that stuff?
I know.
I remember when I was like 12 or 13 years old, I had, I guess, my first great crisis of faith. It was around the time of Vatican II, and, the Pope John the 23rd, who was a great pope, reformed the Catholic Church.
This pope reformed the Catholic Church. He made positive changes to improve it, and that is the definition of the word reform. In politics, we also talk about reformists, and these are the people who implement those changes.
Realized it in many ways, and they abolished the prohibition about eating meat on Friday.
So it sounds like there was a rule or a law or regulation against eating meat on Fridays that was finally abolished, which means this was officially ended. I'll give another example. In the US, slavery, for what I remember, was abolished in the year 1865. Let's pronounce the past form of abolish together. Abolished with a sound.
Oh, yeah.
And which was, in the Catholic Church that I was raised in, eating meat on Friday was a mortal sin. They made differences between mortal sins and venial sins.
So there's two kinds of sins, sounds like. Mortal sins are greater offenses that would indicate that the person who's committing this type of sin has full knowledge of the horrible act they're doing. And then there are minor sins, and these are venial sins that may harm the relationship between the believer and their God, but not completely destroy it. These are venial sins.
And if you died with a mortal sin on your soul that you hadn't confessed and been absolved for.
Okay, the next word is absolve, which means to declare to be free of something like guilt or a sin. So he says, if you died without having confessed your sin and without having been absolved of that sin, let's see what happened.
You went to hell forever. So I remember after Vatican II, I said, let me get this straight, sister,
He says, let me get this straight. This idiom means, let me understand this properly. Let me get this straight.
I was in catechism. If I ate meat last Friday, I would burn in hell forever. But if I ate meat this Friday, I'm good. No problem. The Pope said so. I'm okay. So.
I mean, it's so clear to me, George. I don't understand you.
So he finds this idea ludicrous, which means very unreasonable and ridiculous. Okay, I hope you have learned at least one word.